Friday, he has some visitors come. He gets a blessing, and we get him transferred to Cooper that night. And I hated that I couldn't go and I couldn't be there, and it was so hard. Feeling like I wanted to be in two places at once, but I couldn't. You know, I had this baby to take care of, and he was worried about Lincoln, and he wanted to make sure Lincoln was taken care of, but it was so hard to let his mom and his aunts be the ones that were there and taking care of him, and me not. It was really hard, because I feel like as a wife that's my job, and it was hard to let someone else do it, but I had to. I had this infant at home and I had to take care of him, and I spent the next 4 weeks driving back and forth, going as often as I could, and feeling guilt the whole time. Guilt when I was home that I wasn't there at the hospital. Guilt for leaving the baby with all these different people, so I could go to the hospital, and feeling like I'm a horrible mom, and I just couldn't win. I just felt like no matter what I did, I just couldn't win. But I had an amazing support system and so many people who were so helpful and willing to do whatever I needed, and his health kept getting worse. It took a long time before we could get that feeding tube. They just couldn't get him on the schedule for surgery. He just kept getting pushed off. And then once he got that, he had a feeding tube right into his intestines. He had a drainage tube draining his stomach. At one point he had a tube in his nose that was like directly draining everything from his stomach. And he thought it was kind of funny. Literally everything he drank within like a second would be just coming out his nose, out of this tube, which is kind of gross, but he just found it to be comical. Like, ooh, watch this. And he would have a popsicle and it would be colored, and just stupid, silly little things to make him laugh. And this is the kind of person he was, just being entertained by really stupid, silly little things. And it was a really bad flu season, and so most hospitals had kind of banned children, but they did allow children if they hadn't had these certain symptoms. And so I wanted to bring Lincoln to see him, and he was very, very hesitant about that. And he finally, actually no, he never agreed. He was always very against it. But I finally was like, you know what, no. I'm gonna take him. Dad came with me to the hospital, and I said, just stay in the lobby with Lincoln, and I'll just mention that you're here with the baby, and the baby's here, and I think once he knows the baby's already here, he'll be okay with the baby coming up, which was the case. And I think it helped Cindy, Patrick's mom, more than it helped Patrick, because he wasn't really, most of the time, he really wasn't with it enough to appreciate it or understand or be able to hold him or anything like that. We had fantastic nurses most of the time, and the goal was always to get him healthy enough where he could go home, and once he was home, to start treatment. And the treatment was never going to cure him. It was never a find a cure. It was never a let's get rid of the cancer. It was a let us make you as comfortable as we can. and maybe stop this from continuing and getting worse. So it was more about kind of keeping him comfortable and trying to extend his life as long as he could. But he just never got better. And he kept losing weight. He was skin and bones with this huge stomach. He was so bloated, and they would drain liters of liquid off of him like every other day. 2 liters here, 3 liters there, and it just kept refilling. And the one day I was there, and the cancer doctors come in and they say, look, we have to have a serious talk here, and if we don't start treatment now in the hospital, we're going to lose the window to be able to do treatment. It's a now or never. But here's the thing, your body is so worn down and not in good shape, and chemo is just going to kind of kill any little bit of energy you have and suck everything out of you. So it's going to be horrible. I mean, chemo in general is horrible, but it's going to be even more horrible. But on the plus side, you're in the hospital, and they can deal with this. They can deal with the side effects there and help with that, and you're on a morphine drip and to help with the pain, and these doctors were great and very understanding. And you know, when we asked, like, look, if this was your brother, what would you do? Like, because he said, you know, this is up to you. It's your choice. It's whatever you want to do. If you want to wait and try to see if you get to a point where you can go home and we do it then, or we can do it now, and it's up to you. And we asked, you know, if this was your brother, if this was your family member, what would you do? And he said, I would do treatment. You know, I would do it tomorrow. And in the midst of all of this, we were having some issues with his hemoglobins, and blood work came back, and they were dropping significantly, and they couldn't figure out where, you know, what was happening and why it was dropping. And I needed to go home, and when I was home that evening, they ended up transferring him to the trauma ICU. And his hemoglobins dropped to, ouch, I think a 3, if I'm remembering right, a 3 something, where it had been like an 8 something in the morning, and it was dropping fast, and they said that it had looked as if he had lost as much blood as a rifle wound victim, but he wasn't bleeding anywhere. It wasn't pooling anywhere in him. Like, they had no idea what was happening. And so that kind of set things back for chemo, obviously. And again, he just kept declining, and he never got to a point where he could do chemo. His family, his dad came, and his stepmom and his 2 siblings, and were able to spend some time with him. And he always wanted his dad next to him when his dad was there. I would hold his hand, and it was great that they were able to make it. And on Monday, the 16th, I went up with the baby early in the morning, and that was the last time that I saw him alive. And he was sleeping like the whole time. And I had to leave because I had an appointment I had to make to write a will, sign a will, so that if anything were to happen to me, Lincoln would be taken care of. And I didn't want to wake him up. But the doctor came in, and the pain doctor, palliative doctor, came in and told him that they were going to just focus on keeping him comfortable, and wanted to know his thoughts on that, and putting him back on a morphine drip. So it was a constant morphine rather than by request. And he was upset, and Patrick was upset, and just kept saying, just give me the treatment, you know, I want the treatment, I want the chemo, I'm gonna be fine, I'm gonna beat this, I have a family to live for. And my heart was just breaking, and he was dying, and he couldn't. Every time I would try to talk to him when we were alone in the hospital, he never wanted to talk about what would happen after he passed, because he was going to be fine and he was going to beat it. But I wanted, you know, it was a hard balance. I didn't want to break his spirit, but I wanted to be realistic, and I wanted certain things for Lincoln for after his dad died. But he never would admit that that he was dying. But that was the last time I saw him. And I left the hospital, and I went to my appointment, and the next morning I'm feeding the baby, and I lay back down, and I get a phone call from his aunt telling me that he passed. And I can't explain the feeling, the grief, and knowing, you know, for a month that this was coming. And while it seems like, okay, I had a whole month to prepare for this, it was only a month. How do you prepare for this? And how do you know, like, it was too soon. It was too soon. I just held Lincoln that day, and I just cried. One of the last times I brought Lincoln, he was really awake and aware and wanting to hold him, and I would bring Lincoln up as close as I could to the hospital bed, and he held his hand, and I didn't know how many pieces my heart could break into, because it just kept breaking. It just kept shattering. It broke when the ER doctor said cancer. It broke when the oncologist said cancer, and it broke when he said terminal, and it broke when he said inoperable, and it broke when Patrick told me to take care of Lincoln. And it broke when I saw him holding his hand, holding Lincoln's hand, and wanting to hold him and not being able to. And it broke when he whispered in my ear as I held him that he was dying. And it broke when he's arguing with the doctors, asking for the treatment when they said it's too late. heart broke when he said he had a family to live for, and it shattered when he passed. And I'm left with a 9-week-old baby, just barely 2 months old, to raise on my own. And over the past month and a half now, that since he's been gone, I have missed him every day. You know, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him. There's not a day that goes by that I wish, you know, that I don't wish that he was here. But, you know, I'm going through this grieving process, and it's a process, and every day is new and every day is different, and I've been doing well and I've been doing good and kind of feeling at peace a lot more recently. And I think, you know, Heavenly Father really does have a plan, and I've been able to see so much. You know, hindsight is 20/20, and I look back at my journey and our journey, and different moments where I thought was a hardship turned out to be a major blessing later. And people were brought in my path at the right time to help and to cheer and to bless. And I've been so appreciative of all of the love and support that I've had, and it has been overwhelming. Every aspect of this has been overwhelming. But things are starting to look up, finally. It's been a really horrible first half of the year, and I'm just hoping and hopeful that the second half is immensely better, and it's already kind of been a lot better. And so I'm so grateful for that. And it's getting dark and buggy, and the lightning bugs are coming out, and I need to go home, so I may finish. I don't know. I feel like I've kind of rambled, and this is everywhere, and I hope that something comes of this, of my rambling in the woods for an hour. I want to say I love you guys. I am thankful for all of the love and the support, whether it's phone calls or a card or a text message or a Facebook message or a donation to a GoFundMe or just a thought and a prayer. They've all been felt, and they've all been a blessing to me, and I'm so grateful for that. And this journey that is my life is still going, and I'm still going, and I have, you know, Patrick always said I have so much to live for, and I do, and I need to continue where he left off, and I need to live for him, and I need to make sure that Lincoln knows his daddy and knows who he was. And I'm trying to keep him alive, and by doing this video, I feel like has kind of helped with that. I'm sure I missed a lot of things and might have said things wrong and totally out of order, but you know, it's kind of fitting that this video is all jumbled and rambling, because my life is so jumbled and my memories are so jumbled, and every day was just hard, and so I'm pretty sure I swallowed a bug, and looks like it's gonna rain, so I'm gonna head back. But I just want to again thank you guys for all the love and support, and please join me on this journey and subscribe and leave me some comments and let me know what you think and other things that you want to hear or want to talk about, or if I missed something, if you have a question about something that I didn't talk about because I'm just rambling, let me know. Okay, thanks. Bye, guys.